Hello everyone! This is actually part 3 of my Hanafuda Game for Beginners series. If it's your first time here and you want to learn about the basics of Hanafuda, I recommend you watch my video on Bakappana first. Hello again everybody! Let's learn how to play another Hanafuda game. But first, let's recap. In the first video, we learned what Hanafuda cards are and how to classify them, as well as the core gameplay of Hanafuda in the form of a simple game of Bakappana. And in the second video, we took things a little further and added yaku to the game, and it became known as Hana-Awase. Today, we will add another gameplay element to make it more exciting. However, some things in the game will also be a little bit different. Today, we will learn about Mushi, a simple Hanafuda game from the Kansai region in Japan. It is also known as Osaka Mushi. Why is the game called Mushi? I don't know. Anyway, one of the most unique details about this game is the fact that you don't use the entire Hanafuda deck. All 4 penny cards and bush clover cards are removed from the deck, so that only 40 cards will remain. Alternatively, you can use a Mushibana deck, and I'll tell you what Mushibana is in the next part because it's time for a Regional Hanafuda Showcase. Mushibana is a regional Hanafuda deck which was used in Kyoto, Osaka, Kobe, and other nearby cities and provinces. The designs of the cards are barely changed from the standard Hanafuda deck, but the deck lacks the peony and bush clover suits, so it only has 40 cards in it. You might be asking, why would you buy that? Can't you just buy a standard Hanafuda deck and leave behind the cards that will not be used? And well, you could, but also the deck would be shorter in height, and if you're like me and if you shuffle the deck using the Hindu shuffle method, the change in height makes it feel a bit awkward. With Mushibana, the cards were made thicker, so even though it only has 40 cards, the height of the deck is about the same as a standard Hanafuda deck. Oh, and by the way, my Mushibana deck is made by Nintendo! That's right, Nintendo manufactured all kinds of regional Hanafuda and other types of Japanese playing cards. But unfortunately, they stopped doing it around the 90s, and to this day, they only manufacture Hanafuda and Kabufuda. Check out these beautiful cards! Oh, and notice the drawings look slightly different from the standard Hanafuda deck. This is because they copied the designs used by Hanafuda manufacturers in Osaka, as a nod to the origin of the game. Unlike the previously encountered Hanafuda games, Mushi is strictly a 2-player game. If there are more than 2 players, they will have to wait until they could change places with the loser of the last game. The objective of the game is also the same as in Hana-Awase. The same card points in Hana-Awase are also used here. The game is typically played in 12 rounds, but you may also choose to play a half year, a season, a month, or even play indefinitely. It's your choice. The game starts by choosing the dealer. This can be done by a roll of a die or by the traditional card drawing method. Choose whichever method you want. Next, the dealer takes all the cards and shuffles the deck. The dealer then deals 8 cards to each player's hand and 8 cards on the field face up, and the rest of the cards are put face down on the table as the draw pile. If there are 4 cards of the same suit on the field, the deal is void, and so the dealer must reshuffle and deal again. The deal is also void if the Rain Man, Swallow, and Willow Ribbon are all present on the field. For demonstration purposes, I will be showing the cards in my hand. The gameplay of Mushi during your turn is the same as in Bakappana and Hana-Awase. Oh, it matches this card. I'll take these. Oh, it matches that one. one then. It's the Junk of Willow, also known as the Lightning card. Let me discuss how to use the Lightning card. In Mushi, the Lightning card is known as Hanafuda, which literally means demon card or ogre card. It is considered a wild card in the game. It matches a card of any suit except Willow. If there are no cards on the field except Willow cards, it stays on the field if you play it. Also, you cannot use the Hanafuda to capture 3 cards on the field at once. If you have the Hanafuda in your hand, then you can choose to play it during your turn. If you drew it from the draw pile, then you must play it. What if the Hanafuda is on the field? Then it cannot be captured by any card from any player's hand. Instead, the player who draws a card must capture the Hanafuda using the drawn card, but only if it's not a Willow card. Remember, the Hanafuda cannot be matched with a Willow card. The game continues until all the cards in each player's hands and all the cards in the draw pile have been played. There will be 2 remaining cards on the field, one of which is a card of the Willow suit, and the other is a card of the same suit as the card that was matched by the Hanafuda. First, technically there are only 3 Willow cards in Mushi, not counting the Hanafuda, meaning that if Willow cards have been matched, there will be 1 remaining Willow card that cannot be matched, hence why it remains on the field. Considering this, the remaining Willow card belongs to the player who has the other 2 Willow cards in their capture pile. Second, if a card of a certain suit is matched with the Hanafuda, then there will be 3 remaining cards of that suit unplayed, and once 2 of them have been matched, then there will be 1 remaining, which can no longer be matched. Considering this, it belongs to the player who has the Hanafuda in their capture pile. So in short, at the end of the round, the Willow card on the field belongs to the player who has the other 2 Willows, and the non-Willow card on the field belongs to the player who has the Hanafuda. And I fall into both categories. So now that all the cards are in somebody's capture pile, let's start counting our scores. 4 times 20 equals 80, 2 times 10 equals 20, 5 times 5 equals 25, 9 times 1 equals 9, 80 plus 20 plus 25 plus 9 equals 134. So my score is 134 points. 1 times 20 equals 20, 5 times 10 equals 50, 3 times 5 equals 15, 11 times 1 equals 11, 20 plus 50 plus 15 plus 11 equals 96. So my opponent's score is 96 points. So counting the card scores, I have 134 points, while my opponent has 96 points. However, Mushi also has yaku. There are only 4 of them, and they are pretty easy to memorize. Straight Wisteria, 10 points. Straight Polonia, 10 points. The Big 3, also known as Sugawara, 25 points. And the 5 Brights, 30 points. The 5 Brights is optional. As you can see, there's no yaku there. However, I got yaku. I have a Straight Wisteria, which is worth 10 points. You can choose one of 2 ways to tally the score. A player's round score is equal to a player's captured card points plus a player's yaku points during that round alone. The player with the higher score during a round becomes the dealer for the next round. A player's total score in the game is the sum of all round scores of that player. The player with the higher total score wins the game. So my score is 144 points, while my opponent has 96 points, which means I win this round. Yay! Both players start with an arbitrary but equal number of points at the beginning of the game. Let's say 200 points. At the end of each round, the yaku points are counted first, and then the difference between the yaku points is taken, and the player with the lower yaku points must give their cards to the other player equal to the point difference. Once the exchange of yaku points is done, players then start counting the card points they have. After the points have been counted, the score must be subtracted by the opponent's card score to obtain the net score, which can be either positive or negative. And of course, the player with the positive net score becomes the dealer for the next round. The net score is then applied to the player's initial score or current score from a previous round to get their current score at that round. The player with the higher current score during the final round wins the game. And that was Mushi! Looks like the game is easier than Hana-Awase this time. Well, it's simpler in the case that it only has 4 yaku in the game. But now, we know one example of how a wildcard is used in a Hanafuda game. Even though not all Hanafuda games used a wildcard, we will encounter quite a handful of games that use them in future videos in this Let's Play Hanafuda series. Anyway, I wanted to showcase the many different gameplay elements used in Hanafuda games. We established that we want as many points as possible, so we try to capture as many high-ranking cards as possible. Adding Dekiyaku to the game gives a bit of strategy, with players pushing their luck to try and complete a Dekiyaku, while also preventing the other player from completing them. Teiyaku gives some bonus points to players who have a bad hand, and using an Onifuda in the game adds a layer of unpredictability in the game. But for the next part, let's take things simple again and put back our focus on yaku. Up until now, collecting Dekiyaku are optional. The only incentive for collecting them are those extra points. But what if we had a game where the Dekiyaku is the main focus? What if we made the Dekiyaku so special, so desirable, and so powerful, it stops the game and prevents the other players from getting a score? Tune in for part 4 and find out.